Well, welcome back to your R3 Life Group. We are currently in week 3 of our series Anatomy, and Pastor Will Kaha spoke about serving free. In his message, he began with this statement: we all want to be the greatest. We all want to be the top dog, the best, the first, the most trusted. We want to win at everything we do. The 12 disciples, just like us, struggle with this as well. In Mark 9:33-35, it says, after they arrived from Capernaum and settled in a house, Jesus asked his disciples, "What are you discussing on the road?" But they didn't answer, because they had been arguing about which of them was the greatest. He sat down, called the 12 disciples over to him, and said, "Whoever wants to be the first must take last place and be the servant of everyone else." Jesus is revealing to his disciples what servanthood really means. That means if you're in last place, not only does everyone go before you, but you serve them as well. You are the servant of all. And that was a gut check for the disciples, and that's a gut check for us too. In order for us to make sense and bring depth to this, Pastor Will took the word servant and broke it down for us. There are 2 Greek meanings that we can pull from the word servant, and that is diakonos and doulos. Diakonos means servant or minister, and that's where we get the word deacon from. Doulos is often translated as servant, but it really means slave. When Jesus says, no servant is above his master, he means no slave is above his master. And if you're like me, you may not be a big fan of the word slave. But in Exodus chapter 21, verse 2 and verses 5-6, it paints an amazing picture of a relationship between a slave and his master. And this is what it says: if you buy a Hebrew slave, he may serve no more than 6 years. Set him free in the 7th year, and he will owe you nothing for his freedom. But the slave may declare, I love my master, my wife, and my children. I don't want to go free. If he does this, his master must present him before God. Then his master must take him to the door or doorpost and publicly pierce his ear with an awl. After that, the slave will serve his master for life. That is an incredible depiction of love and devotion. Except for the piercing of the ear, I think that would hurt just a little bit. But you see, you and I are willing to be slaves to God because we love him and his great love for us. And that is the heart of servanthood. So welcome back as we take time to reflect on what servanthood really means. You know, our DNA here at The Ransom is to serve free, but sometimes we get confused as to what serving really means and why we do it. And Pastor Will brought up a really solid point in his message, and this is what he says. We sometimes believe that serving is a choice, but in reality, it's the love for our master and his love for us that creates the heart of a servant. In Matthew 20:28, it says, Jesus came not to be served, but to serve and give his life as a ransom. Just like Jesus was abandoned to be a servant, we too are to be abandoned to the calling of being a servant. So when we talk about serving here at The Ransom, we want to see you live the life that God has called you to live. And it's more than a box you check off on Sunday to serve somewhere. It's about the love relationship that we see between the slave and his master that is shown in Exodus 21. And Jesus says, you cannot be my disciples if you are not first a servant of all. So do you come to the Ransom Church to be served or to serve? You know, we are unapologetic that our single sold-out mission is to turn you into a disciple of Christ, knowing that you serve because you are a servant. That is your identity. That is who you are in Christ. Welcome to React. There are so many different ways to react to this Sunday's sermon, but we have one specific challenge for you. What is one random act of service you can do before next Sunday? It's so easy to get caught up in busyness and the pace of the day, and our culture screams out service and putting ourselves first in line. What intentional act of kindness can you let someone else experience? Think in simple terms. Maybe it's just letting someone else go ahead of you in line or paying for someone's meal. It's that simple. What is one random act of service you can do before next Sunday? That's it for your R3. Thank you for jumping into community, and I'll see you next week as Phil wraps up our series on anatomy titled Living Set Free.